If you've spent more than 5 minutes on wellness TikTok, you've been told peptides are the future. Heal your tendons, reverse aging, burn fat while you sleep. There's just one problem. Out of the dozens being injected into people right now, only 3 have real human trials behind them. The rest, a cardiologist at Scripps just reviewed 15 of the most popular injectable peptides and concluded there is 0 randomized human evidence that any of them do what they're sold to do. So before you spend another dollar or stick another needle in your stomach, let's talk about what the science actually says. Hey everyone, today we're doing something a little uncomfortable because the peptide industry has exploded into a multi-billion-dollar gray market and a lot of really smart people are getting taken for a ride. I want to walk you through the 3 peptides that have legitimate, large, placebo-controlled human data, the kind of evidence you'd want before injecting anything into your body, and then the 12 that are riding on rodent studies, anecdotes, and influencer hype. We'll also get into why the supply chain itself might be the scariest part of this story. Quick note up front, this is educational, not medical advice. Anything injectable is a conversation with a licensed physician, not a YouTube channel. With that said, let's get into it. Before we name names, we need a shared definition. When a clinic or an influencer says there are studies on this peptide, what they almost always mean is rat studies, petri dishes, or a handful of uncontrolled case reports. That is not the same thing as evidence. Real evidence in medicine means a randomized, placebo-controlled trial in humans, ideally phase 3, ideally with hundreds or thousands of participants. So the question to ask any provider is simple. Show me the placebo-controlled human trial. If they can't, you're not buying medicine, you're buying a hypothesis, and you're the experiment. Let's start with the winners. Peptide number 1, semaglutide, which you know as Ozempic or Wegovy. The STEP trials showed about 14.9% body weight reduction versus 2.4% on placebo. Peptide number 2, tirzepatide, sold as Mounjaro and Zepbound. SURMOUNT-1 showed up to 20.9% weight loss at the highest dose, and the head-to-head SURMOUNT-5 trial published in NEJM in May 2025 showed tirzepatide beating semaglutide 20.2% to 13.7% over 72 weeks. Both are FDA-approved. Both have been studied in tens of thousands of patients. Peptide number 3 is the one most people don't know. Bremelanotide, brand name vials, also called PT141. It was FDA-approved in 2019 for hypoactive sexual desire disorder in premenopausal women, based on the Reconnect Phase 3 program in about 1,200 women. That's the entire list, 3. And notice, every single one is FDA-approved and obtained through a licensed prescriber, not a Research Chemicals website. Now the wall of shame. These are the peptides heavily marketed online with weak to zero human evidence. BPC 157, TB 500, CJC 1295, ipamorelin, AOD 9604, GHKQ injectable, melanotan II, epitalon, DSIP, Celenc, Cemex, KPV, thymosin alpha 1, cerebralicin, and dihexa. Let's zoom in on the most hyped one, BPC 157, the so-called Wolverine peptide. Its entire human evidence base is 3 pilot studies with fewer than 30 total subjects, plus 2 old Croatian trials from a company called PLIVA that don't appear in PubMed and may never have been peer-reviewed. An entire industry built on uncited rumors. TB 500 has essentially one uncontrolled retrospective survey. CJC 1295 and ipamorelin have basically nothing in humans for their advertised anti-aging claims. And in July 2025, cardiologist Eric Topol reviewed 15 of these injectable peptides and wrote, quote, "There is no evidence from randomized trials in humans that any of these peptides provide the benefits that are advocated." Here's the part that should really stop you in your tracks. Independent testing of research use only, peptide vials has found purity ranging from 5% to 75%. That means even if the peptide worked, you might be getting almost none of it, or you might be getting something else entirely. Contamination with arsenic and lead has been documented, bacterial endotoxins too. And the research use only label is a legal fiction. Vendors slap it on the vial to dodge FDA enforcement, while their influencer affiliates clearly market the product for human injection. So you are potentially paying premium prices for a contaminated, mislabeled, unapproved drug, self-injecting it without medical supervision, with no recall mechanism if a batch goes bad. That is not a wellness protocol, that's a chemistry experiment on yourself. Beyond contamination, there are actual biological red flags. The growth hormone peptides, CJC1295, ipamorelin, tesamorelin, work by raising IGF-1, a hormone associated with increased risk of several cancers. Topol specifically flagged this. People injecting these for wellness may be doing the opposite. Melanotan II, the so-called tanning peptide, has multiple published case reports of melanoma emerging from existing moles shortly after use. WADA, the World Anti-Doping Agency, bans BPC 157, TB 500, and the GH secretagogues outright. And because there are no real human trials, drug interactions and contraindications are basically unknown. If you're on other medications, nobody can tell you what happens when you mix them. That's not a feature, that's a warning sign. Let's clear up a few things you'll hear in defense of these peptides. It's natural, your body already makes it. Insulin is a peptide your body makes. Inject the wrong dose and you die. Natural is irrelevant. It's prescribed by a clinic, so it must be approved. Compounded is not the same as approved. Most wellness clinics are compounding under a regulatory carve-out. The FDA has not vetted those formulations for safety or efficacy. Bodybuilders have used these for years and they're fine. That's survivorship bias. The user base is young and healthy, exactly the group where harms are easiest to miss, and we have no long-term safety data. And finally, BPC 157 heals tendons. The evidence for that is almost entirely from rats. Human tendon healing data is essentially non-existent. So here's the practical playbook. 1. Before you inject anything, demand the placebo-controlled human trial. If the answer is rat studies or testimonials, walk away. 2. If your goal is weight loss, the evidence-based options are semaglutide and tirzepatide, prescribed by a licensed clinician, not ordered from a research chemical site. 3. Never buy from a research use only vendor, full stop. 4. If you have any personal or family history of cancer, avoid the growth hormone peptides. The IGF-1 signal is too concerning to ignore. 5. Skip melanotan II entirely. The melanoma case reports alone settle it. 6. Don't stop your FDA-approved medications to switch to peptides. That's the highest cost mistake people make. And one honest note even about the winners. Step 10 showed about 40% of weight regained within 28 weeks of stopping semaglutide, and Surmount 4 showed over 50% regain off tirzepatide. Even the legitimate peptides aren't magic. They're tools that work while you're on them and require a long-term plan. Here's the bottom line. Peptides are not inherently fake. 3 of them genuinely changed medicine in the last decade. But the marketing machine has gotten so far ahead of the science that the average wellness customer is being sold rodent data dressed up as a miracle, often in a vial that might not even contain what the label says. Real medicine has a paper trail. Real evidence has a placebo arm. Anything less is hype with a needle attached. If this video saved you from an expensive or risky purchase, consider subscribing. We go deep on this stuff every week. And as always, talk to a licensed physician before starting, stopping, or switching anything injectable. Take care of yourselves out there.